Two tanks from the same generation. Why are they so similar and yet so different at the same time?
The armor is decent, but it could have been beefed up. Hit a mine on the side, but it took the TM no problem.
The German Leopard 2 and the British Challenger 2, built against the same threats, but built around completely different concepts.
Come in on soft paws, strike fast, snap with sharp teeth. When you're riding in it, you feel the weight of the tank, the power of the tank.
Which gun is better, smoothbore
It hits the target on the first shot,
or rifled?
If the first one misses, the second one will hit precisely.
What are the advantages and the design flaws of each vehicle?
Big, heavy, tall.
And why do individual technical specs sometimes not matter at all in real combat? Today we're going to take a detailed look at these two tanks. Let's get started. Where did the German Leopard 2 and the British Challenger 2 come from? The answer is almost embarrassingly obvious. They came to replace the Leopard 1 and the Challenger 1. What do they have in common? Both were developed during the Cold War, and although the Challenger 2 is significantly younger, both belong to the third and most advanced generation. Most importantly, both were built with one purpose: to stop Soviet tank armadas. Where did such catastrophic expectations come from? After World War II, Soviet generals had an unresolved obsession, which they later passed on as an inheritance to modern Russia. A lightning-fast occupation of Europe with a push all the way to the English Channel. The steel tip of that battering ram was meant to be thousands of tanks, a capability the Soviet Union never skimped on resources to develop and produce. Could Europe afford something similar? Voters certainly wouldn't have appreciated it. NATO's military doctrine was always purely defensive. The alliance wasn't planning to ram anyone. So why did they need tanks at all? To stop enemy tanks. The emphasis was never on quantity, always on technical superiority.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Weapons of Victory channel and hope to see you soon.
Thanks to the excellent optics and the excellent gun, everything is built around hunting. Not charging head-on, not crushing trenches under the tracks, but hunting.
So European tanks were always going to be outnumbered, but they had to be better. How? And is there only one true path to perfection? To put it simply, a tank is made up of a few core components: the chassis and engine that move it, the armor that protects it, and the gun that kills the enemy. Let's go straight to the gun. It's the most interesting part. Tank guns have gone through serious evolution, and right now, they've settled on 120mm caliber in the Western world and 125mm in Russia. Can you go bigger? You can. But then your ammunition load shrinks. But does caliber alone decide everything? If only it were that simple. The Leopard's gun is smoothbore, like almost every modern tank. Against that backdrop, the Challenger looks like an old-fashioned aristocrat. Its gun is rifled. Why did the British swim against the current? To win on accuracy.
It really is a sniper rifle. It lets you engage enemy targets at long range. You don't need to drive too close. You can work from cover calmly and pull back.
Accuracy is also heavily influenced by barrel length. On this gun, it starts at 55 calibers. How much is that? Put it this way. That's a lot even for a self-propelled howitzer, let alone a tank. That gun configuration gives a phenomenal effective firing range. Depending on the source, anywhere from 8 to 10 kilometers, roughly 5 to 6.2 miles.
Firepower out to 10 kilometers, also has a night sight and a laser rangefinder that also measures out to 10 kilometers. It's a two-shot tank. If the first one misses, the second one will hit precisely.
So what can the Leopard 2 put up against that? Its official specs are considerably more modest, and it only received the 55 caliber barrel in the fairly late 2A6 variant.
This has the L55 gun. The barrel is 1 meter 10 centimeters longer.
Earlier models had 44 calibers. What does that mean in practice? A shorter effective firing range, obviously. But thanks to excellent optics and the characteristically high German manufacturing culture, Ukrainian tankers also call this gun a sniper rifle, especially compared to Soviet-era tanks.
This gun is very accurate. With proper zeroing, when everything is done right, it hits the target on the first shot. The first shot.
Drop a comment and tell us why you think the Germans took so long to swap to the more modern gun. The shorter gun works just as well, just at a slightly reduced range.
It's very accurate compared to Soviet tanks. The main thing is to zero it properly, and it will hit the same point with every single round you fire.
So who wins in the end? In reality, on Ukrainian terrain, maximum engagement distances are rare, so the range headroom of both the British gun and both German gun variants is more than sufficient.
This isn't a desert where you can see for 100 kilometers. Here, if visibility is 1.5 to 2 kilometers, that's very, very good. And they fully cover our needs.
It's telling that the actual real-world record for the longest confirmed enemy target kill currently belongs to the Leopard.
There was a case where we may have set, I don't know if it's a world record, but an A6 hit a Russian T-72 at a range of 5,500 meters. For Ukrainian tank forces, that's a record. It punched straight through the front of the tank.
So how far behind is the Challenger? Barely at all.
Maximum range that we hit the target was 5 kilometers.
Does that mean the British tank is falling short of its claimed specs? Not at all. It simply hasn't had the opportunity to show what it can do at full stretch yet. If you think we've already compared the Leopard and Challenger guns in every detail, you'd be wrong. What else matters? The loading system. Unlike Soviet tanks, where the shell and propellant charge are loaded separately, the Leopard, like the American Abrams, uses unitary ammunition. One move by the loader and the gun is ready to fire. In the Challenger, everything is considerably more complex. Its loading system is semi-combustible case, like large caliber artillery. First the projectile, then the propellant charge in a combustible casing, and then a small primer that actually ignites the propellant.
Here's the magazine holding 10 primers.
Does this multi-step process slow down the loading rate, and therefore the rate of fire? Surprisingly, no. Well-trained Challenger crews keep pace with their Leopard counterparts just fine.
8 rounds per minute. It all depends on the loader. The British record is 10 rounds per minute.
The difference in loading systems shapes how the ammunition is stored. The Leopard 2's full ammunition load is 42 rounds, but Ukrainian tankers often only carry 15, the ones stored in the rear turret bustle, behind the armored bulkhead.
It's a separated ammunition compartment. If there's a direct hit, the crew will obviously take a concussion, but all the rounds in the separate container will cook off without harming the crew.
And the rest of the rounds? They're meant to be carried inside the hull, which multiplies the risk to the crew several times over. How is the Challenger's ammunition storage different? At first glance, it looks somewhat chaotic.
For safety, the ammunition and propellant charges are stored separately in individual containers. There are containers of 4, of 6, of 8. Full ammunition load, 52 rounds.
But that apparent chaos actually has a very deep logic behind it.
Our ammunition is on one side, the propellant charges are on the other. If the propellants catch fire, they won't flash over, and the projectiles themselves don't ignite. They can melt, but they don't explode.
That doesn't guarantee complete safety, but it gets a lot closer to it. Well, that covers the guns. Not tired yet? Then let's push on to the other differences. The Leopard 2 is somewhat lighter than the Challenger and fitted with a more powerful engine. That makes it more agile.
Just like a leopard in nature, come in on soft paws, strike fast, snap with sharp teeth, and immediately drag the prey to the side, then go still. Don't show that you're there. That's the essence of the Leopard tank.
The Challenger 2, on the other hand, is probably the heaviest of all modern tanks.
Its weight is 64 tons. That's without add-on armor. With add-on armor, it reaches 78 tons.
Is that a good thing or not? For Ukrainian crews, it's the ultimate expression of raw combat power.
When you're riding in it, you feel the weight of the tank, the power of the tank. I'm in awe of it.
At the same time, critics say the excess weight hurts the tank's cross-country mobility. But is there a vehicle in the world that can't be drowned in a swamp? You're kidding, right? You just have to try hard enough. In reality, Ukrainian tankers note certain mobility shortcomings in both tanks. The Challenger.
The vehicle handles itself pretty well. One small nuance, loose soil gives it a bit of trouble, but the engine has enough power for maneuvers, for everything.
And the Leopard alike.
The Leo 6 is a gentleman. If that's even possible in the tank world, this one's a gentleman. It needs asphalt, a flat surface, clean air, and so on.
Another noticeable difference between the German and the British tank is the controls. Leopards use a steering wheel, Challengers use levers, like Soviet tanks, but considerably less rough.
There are 2 levers. They sit in a comfortable position. They don't get in the driver's way. They're also adjustable, so you can raise or lower them to fit your body and your arms. Very convenient.
You could argue that steering wheels are more comfortable, while levers are more reliable and more familiar to Ukrainian tankers with prior experience. But overall, it makes little practical difference. Drop a comment and tell us which control setup you'd choose. And finally, what about armor protection? Armor is literally the reason tanks were invented in the first place. The Challenger's armor is somewhat stronger, though structurally very similar. But in reality, all modern production tanks were designed for maneuver warfare at significant range against comparable machines. That's where all those angled armor plates come from, with varying thickness across different aspects. But in modern warfare, surviving the relentless swarm of sneaky drones requires serious customization for every model.
Even the stock versions of modern A7 Plus and A8 variants won't survive. They won't last long in current combat conditions. They need modifications too, just like we're doing right now with the tanks we have. Right now, there isn't a single tank in our battalion. Soviet Ts, Abrams, Challengers, without add-on protection. Every single one has cage frames.
You know what's most interesting? It looks like in modern warfare, powerful tank armor is actually becoming secondary. Remember the criticism, and in some places outright hate. When Ukraine received the older Leopard 1, everyone said the armor was cardboard. The protection there really is modest. But that was by design, because the tank was conceived above all else to be fast and to avoid threats through maneuverability. It was recently reported that one of these supposedly cardboard tanks, operated by the 5th Separate Heavy Mechanized Brigade and upgraded to modern standards, survived 52 drone hits without the armor being penetrated. So what are the conclusions? Both of our contenders, the Leopard and the Challenger, are fully modern combat vehicles, powerful and fast, reasonably well armored, though both need additional protection against drones. Both have excellent observation equipment and fire control systems. The Challenger's gun is theoretically more accurate and longer ranged, but the ammunition selection for it is very limited. And in the end, it's not the equipment that fights. It's the people operating the equipment, and their role is the decisive factor.
Crew cohesion, smart leadership, tactics, planning, that's what matters. And all of it together. There's no such thing as one tank rolling out and solving everything on its own. If it doesn't have proper communications, proper command, and a proper understanding of what to do, which direction to fight, and so on, then no matter how good that tank is, sooner or later it'll get burned.
But there's one factor that simply can't be argued with. There aren't many Challengers, either in Ukraine or in Britain itself. So the future of Ukrainian tank forces definitely doesn't lie with them. What do you think? Which tanks should Ukraine choose going forward? German, American, or maybe even Korean? Drop your opinion in the comments. And make sure you check out the other videos on our channel. There's a lot of good stuff on there. Stay safe and support Ukraine.